When an avoidant pulls back, everyone tells you the same tired lie. They don't care. But here's the raw truth no one has dared to say until now. Pulling away can be the loudest cry of love you'll ever hear. Because real love terrifies an avoidant, not because they're broken, but because they feel too much. Because the moment they sense that you matter, that you could actually hurt them, they go silent, they vanish. And it's not because they don't feel, it's because they feel so deeply, their nervous system goes into war mode. They retreat not to punish you, but to protect themselves. Because loving you feels like danger. It feels like exposure. It feels like standing at the edge of a cliff without a harness. And no one taught them how to handle that kind of vulnerability. You think they ghosted you because they lost interest?
No.
They ghosted you because they found out how real this is. And here's the most shocking part. If they're still watching your stories, if they're still asking about you, if they keep popping back into your orbit when they think you've moved on, that's not indecision. That's attachment screaming through fear. You want to know how an avoidant loves? Not with words, not with promises, but with distance and with testing. They test if you'll chase. They test if you'll stay calm. They test if your love is safe enough to disarm their panic. But they're not heartless, they're hyper-aware. Hyper-aware of rejection, of failure, of opening up and being discarded like they've experienced in the past. And when you got too close, it wasn't rejection, it was a trauma reflex. Listen to me. The avoidant doesn't run because you're wrong for them. They run because you're exactly what they never believed they could have. When an avoidant pulls away, the world rushes in to give you the same recycled answer. They're just not that into you. But what no one tells you is that pulling away might be their only language for, I care about you more than I can process. You don't see their absence for what it really is. A smoke signal from a nervous system inflamed. Because what the avoidant won't say with words, they scream in silence. And if you know how to listen inside their pullback, real, it doesn't light them up, it sets off alarms. It awakens a fight, or flight response that's not about logic, not about you, but about how love once felt like danger, disappointment, or emotional collapse. They don't run because of who you are. They run because of what love has done to them before you ever showed up. You see detachment. But what you're really seeing is a person wrestling to control a tidal wave of emotion that their body doesn't know how to handle. They pull away to find air, not because they want to lose you, but because you are oxygen in a room they're afraid to breathe in. You think they don't feel enough? It's the opposite. They feel too much. And their body shuts down to avoid drowning in what they've never been taught to survive. Their silence isn't apathy, it's overstimulation. Their coldness isn't rejection, it's self-defense. You were told love is loud and clear, but for them, love is frightening and unpredictable. And when their nervous system goes into lockdown, they don't disappear to hurt you. They disappear because their internal world is shaking like an earthquake, and they're trying to stop the walls from collapsing. The intensity of a deep connection hits them like a storm they never asked for. It's not that they don't see your value. It's that your value is so undeniable, it terrifies them. It makes them confront emotions they've buried under years of emotional armor. And that armor doesn't just fall off because someone nice comes along. It rusts in place. It fights to stay intact. And that resistance you feel, it's not indifference, it's survival. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the vulnerability that love demands. Vulnerability feels like danger to them, and that's not your fault. Them. That's the ghost of every time they opened up and got punished for it. Every time they hoped and got crushed. Every time they believed and got betrayed. So now they equate closeness with chaos, warmth with pain, intimacy with loss. You didn't do this to them, but you did awaken it. And that's why their pullback hurts so much. Because you know what you felt, and they felt it too. But they didn't know what to do with it. This isn't about mind games. This isn't manipulation. This isn't lack of care. This is a body and brain in survival mode, trying to protect them from a love that feels too good to trust. You don't run from what you don't care about. You don't hide from what doesn't shape you. They're not avoiding you. They're avoiding the heartbreak they're convinced is coming. Because somewhere in their past, they learned that love always ends in pain. So they leave before they get left. System to digest. That's the truth the world never tells you. That's the part no one teaches. Avoidants don't flee from emptiness, they flee from intensity. From the terrifying possibility that someone might actually see them and stay. And if you're the one they ran from, you weren't the problem. You were the mirror, the reflection of what they never believed they deserved. And the fear of losing that reflection was so great, they left it before it could leave them. So when they vanished, they weren't abandoning you. They were drowning in emotions that had no name. And they ran not because you meant nothing, but because you meant everything. When an avoidant pulls back, it's not always because they're done. It's because their nervous system has just stepped into high alert, and suddenly everything that felt good now feels dangerous. What looks like distance is often a test, and not the kind rooted in manipulation, but the kind created in fear, in trauma, in needing proof that they are safe in a world that's always made them feel like love is a setup for abandonment. Tell themselves they were right to keep their guard up. But if you can, something inside them starts to shift. Because your calm response isn't just attractive, it's disarming. It tells their nervous system this love might not hurt me. This person doesn't chase, doesn't panic, doesn't punish. And that feels foreign, terrifying, but magnetic. They won't tell you they're testing you. They may not even know they're doing it. It's not a strategy, it's a subconscious defense. But every action you take during their retreat is being cataloged. And what they're looking for isn't perfection. It's proof that your love doesn't come with strings. That you're not waiting to explode, not waiting to abandon, not waiting to guilt trip them into emotional closeness they're not yet ready to offer. Avoidants crave depth, but they fear the conditions that usually come with it. They don't want to be someone's emotional obligation. They want to be free to choose closeness at their own pace. And when they sense they're being watched, pushed, or evaluated during that retreat, they panic. So they test with silence. They test with distance. They test with slow replies and long pauses and subtle disappearances. Not to manipulate you, but to monitor what kind of energy you bring when you're not getting what you want. Because in their mind, love has always come with a price. And they're terrified that once you see their imperfections, their hesitation, their slow processing, their emotional confusion, you'll reject them the way others have. And so they test to see if your love will survive their humanness.